This is Gamer1745, and I'm going to be playing some War Thunder. Probably eventually, as a few friends roll in, will join me, I hope. And we will be having fun with tanks. More fun than fun with flags, I'm sure. Not flags are bad, but tanks are so much more fun. So let's get off to some battle here. And here we go. Realistic ground battles. Not simulator. Oh, goody. Oh, nice. Okay. Hmm. I was thinking of one thing. I'm now thinking of another tactic plan depending on this. So let's see what we do here. Yeah. And yes. And yes. Here we go. A bit more this angle. Need to head to the flank. I am so predictable on my tactics, which is not a good thing. But since most people don't, play against me all the time, they don't know. They don't notice this in particular tank or whatever. Oops, somebody just shot at me. Okay, keep moving. Right there. We're going to shoot again. There's enough other targets. And concealment may not be covered. Oh, somebody's shooting at me. The machine gun. Oh, okay. Well, we don't need fuel tanks. This is War Thunder. Okay. Now, stop. Get down in here. That's what I was looking for. Oh, damn it. Just what I effing need is green. Okay. Can't see. Fucking A. Ugh. I'm blaming the tree. Fully blaming the tree. Couldn't see. Oh, it's that new vehicle. Okay. Yeah. This doesn't have the speed. I was hoping I could get into position early enough, fast enough. And the tree fell and I couldn't see anything. Well, that shot came across, but I don't think it was shot at me. Nothing I can really do about it, but I do hate the people that do the low res. I know it's maybe not cheating as in, they're just using the settings that are available to them. But I really don't quite honestly play to win. I play to have fun. Sure, I camo up my tanks and whatnot. That does give me an advantage. Often it can mean that they can't identify what tank I have. They know it's an enemy tank. They see that. They don't able to 100% identify the weak spot. Where to put the round. They just got to shoot at large mass. Speak. Learn how to. Come on, come on. Boom, there we go. That's another. Oh, that's. I think that it killed me. Let's see if I can take him out. That's why I came in. This nice, big, heavy. Boom, there we go.
Good evening.
Hey, Dino. How you doing? Uh-oh. I just got shot in the driver.
I'm doing all right.
Good to hear. I'm on fire and I've lost my gun. And I died. Well, I'm at 3-7 if you want to pair a lineup for that.
All right.
Oh, okay. And I get killed by an IL-8. Oh, getting fast. Okay, well, one last thing to do to get revenge on him. I don't know that it's going to work. Tracked him, but didn't work. Okay, heading back to him. We have lost this battle. Why don't I see you on my friends list? There he is. Wait, well, I sent you an invite.
Yeah, currently, for some reason, it took quite a long time to load.
Maybe updating things. I don't know.
Possible.
Hey, ZZ.
But anyway, I only just.
Yeah, no
There
problem.
it is. All right, 3.7.
Yes.
Good.
My week's
Very
been
good.
going pretty good, ZZ. Slow, but good. And a guy with a tractor with a backhoe come out and do 4 hours worth of land management. That is good and useful.
This guy.
Got him. Somebody got me. Well, having Dino here has definitely changed the overall results. We're winning. Though I don't know that Dino's winning.
I'm currently not winning. Well, actually, I'm neither winning nor losing currently.
All right. This anti-aircraft. That's who I'm hunting. Right here. And Dino gets it.
There is currently an enemy tank in one of the streets south of A.
Right. Yep. Right up my ass. See if speed can do things. Well, I did definitely speak too soon about winning. We're no longer.
I should admit a bit of an oopsie. I'm out of this match.
Well, we're just about lost now.
Yeah, I had hoped that I could re-enter in a tank, but apparently I didn't have enough points. I thought I had, but I must have misread the points I had.
Well, so much for the Battle of Cologne.
Don't worry, we'll hold them at the Weser, yes.
Yes.
Once Steiner counterattacks in Berlin,
Yes.
the Red Army will be sent reeling back to Russia, and then we shall wheel our armies west.
Yes.
See, it worked. We are already back in Normandy.
Normandy, yes. That does work out very funny, but yes.
All right, let's start out with a quick.
Okay, get up there and scout everybody.
Aye, aye, Captain.
That way we will then be able to kill them. me trees. Slowing me up, giving away my position. All those bad things. Oh, somebody's shooting at you, I think.
Yeah, he was. Sadly, he knocked out my gunner with his machine gun. Well, at least I did manage to discard one tank, even if it was B.
I see you. Get to third around, get to third around, get to third around. Have to save him probably. But maybe to save me. No.
Can you mark the position?
Oh, let me see if I just kill him. Okay, no, he's right up there. Just shot at him. Now he's, yeah, on the map there. Hello, Elizabeth. How you doing?
Well, that went great. Of course, it's the fucking ASU-57.
Oh, God, I hate those.
Yep.
I know there's ZZ maybe still in chat, Elizabeth here, and of course Dino here. The voice. Does the world sort of seem in shock to you? Or is this just me?
A little.
You know?
A little.
Yeah, it just. Like, we don't know what's coming next. At least my interpretation is there's going to be significant changes coming soon. It's the ASU-57, he just kills me. Because whether it's Trump, the German government, what's going on in Mexico right now, Just a lot of things just sort of seem waiting to see what's going to be happening soon. I don't know. Maybe just me. I guess I don't know what's coming in the near future. I work with a lot of lefties that are in the USA remote stuff. They keep talking about how the recount's going to have Harris win. No, that isn't happening. Um,
It is, at least from an outsider's perspective, is somewhat funny how the very thing that the last election, where they were like, yeah, no, everything's perfectly fine, everything's no recounting, and now that they're in that in the position, well, obviously something must have gone wrong.
right, and I know they're counting in one particular county. I think it's Bucks County in Pennsylvania. And even if you overturn Pennsylvania for Trump's for Harris, Trump still wins. Okay, it's not like you flip one state. This is why the media is not waiting for all the final counts, waiting for recounts, is because it's not just one state where things might be close enough, whether it's legitimate or illegitimate, to find the votes.
Yeah, he had a pretty steep
Yeah,
uh,
margin.
lead to the
Yeah.
point where it's not particularly close. Like it's not like I've heard some people call it like a landslide. I wouldn't go that far,
Well,
but
I would say it's a landslide in the current environment.
all
Um,
right, I can. All right,
yeah,
I
it's
I
not the
can say that.
Reagan getting 49 states. I totally agree with that, and I remember those days. But in the post 2000s, it is the last
I
time we
yeah.
saw anything like this was Bush the Younger's second election after
Mm,
what was seen as a triumph in Afghanistan and Iraq. Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
I would. Yeah, personally, I would just call it a comfortable victory.
yeah. Oh, and you're not wrong in that sense, but um, what I was anticipating was a narrow victory for either side, and
Mm.
then uh, state government deciding not to comply with with the federal government, whichever side, whether it was Texas not complying with the Harris victory, or whether it's California not complying with the um, Trump victory, which is still, I think, going to happen. Excuse me, but with a very different public reaction because of the margins of Trump's victory. I mean, it's going to really behave differently. So I'm not going to say anything crazy like this means we're not going to have a civil war or something, but um, it's definitely going to be different. They're huffing a lot of copium now. They finally believe the election interference. Well, I'm not saying that you should point things out and spoil whatever relationships you have with them, but my answer to them would be something like, for 4 years, Republicans have been demanding election integrity um, uh, improvements. And since the Democrats have blocked every single attempt at that, the Republicans just decided to cheat, and we're cheating and we're going to win. We're going to cheat better than you cheat. So, next election, you better get election integrity going, or we're just going to keep cheating and winning. Throw it
Really,
right,
there is only one kind of cheat that I like. That is a cheetah.
cheetah. Now, I don't think uh, Trump won by cheating, but just throw it back into their faces that they did not make any moves towards increasing election integrity in any way, anywhere that I know of. And so to me, that goes, well, if you're not going to do that, don't complain about who cheats the best. And Wisconsin had a 300,000 vote spike, Democrat vote spike. Yes, shows straight line up at the point that yes, the middle of the count, like it did roughly last time. Not maybe exactly like last time, but roughly in Wisconsin. So, they might try to come out and say, well, those were absentee or mail-in ballots that were already sort of there, but were just dumped into the machine all at once. But wait a minute, the Republicans, I know this time, Republicans have been doing a lot of mail-in stuff, so it just doesn't pass the smell test.
Needs more salt.
Yeah, and then I think with that 300,000, there was probably something like 10,000, 20,000, maybe even 30,000. Like 10%. The spike for at the same moment for Trump. Well, that just doesn't statistically seem viable. Not that Harris or the Democrats or whatever shouldn't get a big spike, but just the overwhelming size of it seems suspect purely on statistical likelihoods. I know we're going towards A, but we are flanking around the enemy here. You see somebody. Oh, okay. Somebody just engaged right up in front, whatever that is. Oh, there's a heavy and a medium. Let's come around this corner and see if we can shoot somebody. Okay, I got a KV here. Turret crew just took a pounding. Destroyed. Maybe there's at least one more up there with the Puma. Oh, there's somebody down our angle. Okay. He's getting them. I'm pushing the Puma.
Bounce.
Support.
Hit.
It's still alive somehow. Oh, and I just got shot driving down the road. So be careful. He just to my right. He's going to turn around and shoot you. Watch back north. Turn north.
Ah, shit. I hit him, but I only hit his track.
Well, okay, somebody
but at
else
least
got
I
him.
still got the assist.
Yes.
At least I still got it. Certainly better than the other T-34, who I was hitting point blank, who I hit twice point blank range, and both times it bounced off.
Yeah. Yes. Europe, as a group, does not like an assertive America. And I understand that. No one wants, everybody wants to be assertive and no one wants to be asserted on. So that they have liked the Democrats because the Democrats are willing to go along with their agenda. So,
well, that and the Democrats are closer to the overall, at least.
Yeah, that too.
General
that too.
Political, in their political views, closer to the. Whereas
Yes.
Trump is in his political views closer more to the generally heavily disliked by the establishment, at least right-wing populists.
Right. I mean, there's definitely that. Because, but, and you're not wrong at all in the assessment of closer to political views. But it wasn't Reagan's view on tax policy or, we got a SU down here. See if I can get it shot off before he gets me. Well, we got each other. um, his tax policy or Reagan's desire, on prayer in school or something. It was, hey, Seelan, um, that I think the Europeans were unhappy with. But
Well, I can't say much about that, as that was quite before my time.
right, no, because I remember it, not just read about it. I remember the sentiment. But he was doing so much to, win the Cold War, if you will, and they still were like, what's this cowboy telling us how to do these things? And yeah, I know the Cold War isn't over until after Reagan, has left office, but he's entirely setting it up, and Bush, the elder, just, you know, stays the course. It's already set.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
President Nasuda has historically been on good terms with Trump. All the leaders who have been slandering him were quick to congratulate his victory. Yeah, this is. Trump doesn't forget. I don't know if he forgives, but he definitely is a pragmatist in that, he's a deal maker and whatnot. So he will remember all of the slandering, and it is slandering. If you know, I I was talking to Eric. Shit, I'm gonna not do well here. The other day is, how stupid the former Norwegian president is, who is in charge of NATO, and I mean, you would presume that somebody who was the president of Norway would know how to tie his shoes, but he comes out and makes the statement, or very close to this effect, that if Trump is giving in to Putin, or some sort of sentiment like that, we're going to kick America out of NATO. Does he not understand that it's more likely Trump? Oh, you're kicking me out? Well, I'm leaving. So it's sort of like, if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to make you do what you want to do. Like,
Yeah,
get
that
out.
is a bit. Yeah, that whole thing is silly. It's like you are mm, in like an economic agreement with someone who's where the main thing is that they give you lots of food for comparatively little like money or whatever
Right,
ever in return, and you say, if you don't think the way we think, we'll kick you out. And they're like, all right, then we'll just sell our food to someone else and you'll starve and
right.
have to grow your own food.
And so it's, and there's a lot of Trump supporters, and I think very mistakenly, went out of NATO. And so you're just like, yeah, if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to make you do what you wanted to do anyways. Trump's big threat was, um, you know, uh, you either pay your fair share in NATO or we're leaving. So and I really can't imagine the idiocy, unless he is really a secretly like, oh my God, Trump's the greatest person ever, but I can't say it. What can I do to help him? You know, unless he's that, unless you're going to go down that road, and he probably also likes, Putin as well, unless he's a secret fifth columnist of some sort. Um, I literally wonder if he has the intelligence to tie his shoes, and I have to one, because don't
Oh, he
these
has. He's just in a bubble
okay,
of
yes.
self-conceit.
Well, okay, whether it's self conceit or the bubble of the viewpoint of the left, but don't they have intelligence people that give assessments of foreign leaders that say, hey, call him Bobby because he likes that, but never call him Sam because you'll just turn, so
They
it's
probably do have them, but from what experience I have is that these people are oftentimes think they are the smartest person in the room. So if they get advice that is contrary to their personal beliefs, political beliefs, and what they themselves believe is right, and a lot of these people really, really want to play the big hero, then they'll ignore it because, after all, this is opposite to what I believe, so it can't possibly be true.
Now,
And then they are very upset when it turns out that they are wrong, and then they blame everyone else because it can't have been them.
Because what you see, most of the criticism, shall we say, of Trump, most of them are all based on hoaxes. Literal, these are, the very fine people. That was a complete hoax. And so many of the criticisms of Trump's, people criticize for what, for criticizing Trump. He's never done. It's a complete hoax. And I figured the newsreader, whoever, it is, man or woman, sitting there reading the copy that somebody put in their hand, they probably believe the stuff because they don't know any better. They've just been told, this is what's come across their teleprompter, so they read it, so they believe. But I really, if these people, if the information forming their opinion should be such that they should know that these are all hoaxes. And I guess they don't. Okay, can be whether Seelan or Elizabeth or Dino. Do most European leaders, whether they be leading bureaucrats, leading legislatures, leading executive personnel, do they actually know what fascism is? Or is that just some buzzword that they've heard?
I'm pretty sure they don't know what fascism actually is. Some probably do, but number one, it's an incredibly useful tool, even if its actual usage is heavily not its usage, but its usefulness is declining.
So
it's quite likely that some are perfectly aware what fascism or National Socialism actually is, but as it's such a useful tool.
I agree with that. I'm talking, not the average person and is it effective, but I'm asking, do you think the leaders actually know what, not what they're saying, do they know what fascism is?
For the most part,
the leadership.
Actually, no.
The leadership.
For most of it, I think it's just right-wing authoritarianism.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's just everything they think.
Okay.
It's like racist and sexist and
okay.
hates the Jews.
Do you think again, I'm talking European leadership, the people in power, the actual people in power. Do they think American right wing is authoritarian?
Yes.
That you didn't even hesitate.
Yes, I didn't even hesitate. From everything I read and like quotes and so on, it seems that yes, they are fully convinced that American the American right wing, like the Republicans and so on, are authoritarian.
Okay, because it is literally the exact opposite. America's right wing is anti-authoritarian.
Yes, but in their views, they say, they are against abortion, so this means that they are authoritarian.
Now, see, I can totally, and I would have not hesitated if you were asking me what I thought the average European voter, shall we say, thought, but again, I just have to,
Again, now I'm of course I'm not close to any European leaders, so all I have to go on is like what
yeah,
statements of them I know and the people like associated with them say.
right. But it just, do you get this? There are, I guess I would suspect that a lot of people in political power took political science courses, um, and that they would describe to them, the political science courses would describe to them the ideologies of various, political groups around the world.
Hmm.
And, you know, the, um, the DDR really isn't democratic in the pluralistic sense. I know that you can sort of contrive, the people's will or whatever through the People's Party democracy, but in the pluralistic
Yeah.
democracy sense, the DDR was not democratic. So, and I had this kind of education, um, in university to understand these things. And I guess I would presume that enough of them, and again, not that everyone in political office is going to have had that background, but, you know, that they would, the ones that did would talk to the ones that don't and make sure that they understood. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to change their opinion of liking American right wing. They may hate it because it's liberty based and whatnot. Okay, but at least they should know reality.
I think, and this is at least something what I see here in Germany is that
And
left
I'm
wing
reading
is
what Elizabeth
is
is saying, but go ahead, Dina.
oh
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right, all right. And that is that the left wing is inherently associated here with with liberty, with being free, being and so on and so forth. Whereas the right wing is inherently associated with authoritarianism, like dictatorship and so on. It's a bit different in like
Right,
Eastern Europe, but in like Central and Western Europe, that is pretty much it.
right.
Right wing is evil dictatorship. Left wing is like freedom, uh, democracy, and so on. Which is why, for example, you will almost never hear people like talking about we must combat the left or something, or the dangers of the left. Whereas here in Germany, oftentimes they don't even talk about right wing extremism, just generally the right as
Right.
being the evil enemy. And I think this idea is so ubiquitous that it's very difficult for people to grasp that these things are not inherent, that being the left wing does not automatically mean you're like for like liberty and freedom and whatever, and that being right wing does not automatically make you a card carrying party member.
But yeah, and I get, and I've understood for years that is how the American politics are portrayed in Europe to the general public. But that the leadership, because they present themselves as the informed people, the smart people, that they themselves would, if you will, know the truth, whatever the propaganda is being fed to the general public.
Again, as I said previously,
Yeah.
I think it is perfectly reasonable that they know the truth, but the truth is not convenient to them, so they don't talk about it. That is certainly possible in my mind.
Right. I don't know. Um, because because I'm just wondering about. You I know that, especially from the British case, that everybody convinced themselves that um, Trump wasn't going to win again. But obviously he did. So they now dug their hole, and what are they going to do about it? Is this? I think I'm
Really,
going to die up
from
here. I guess this area is now off limits because I'm going to die in 10 seconds. No, I'm not like these other guys turning back. I'm realizing I'm going to die. Oh, so they don't want me coming up here anymore. How interesting. Yes, okay. Well, now I know that. I won't do that again.
really, from what I've seen is that lots of people are just so stuck in their in their own point of view and so obsessed with the idea that they are right, that they are that because of what they believe, not even necessarily because of what they do, but because of what they believe, they are they are the hero. They are the good guys. So whatever they do is righteous, and whoever opposes them is villainous.
Okay,
That's
and and and
yeah,
and, and I can understand, but I get, and I know I'm harping on it because I guess I find it hard to believe that I'm not arguing for or against that their belief or whether they're right or not or any of that kind of stuff. I'm arguing against or not understanding how that they don't understand the reality of it. Not well we're right because we know best for humanity, but to like not know what the the reality of the situation. Not oh well we want to reduce poverty or whatever. No, that's not yeah, I get they see themselves the hero there, but to then go oh yeah, but water's not wet. Well, why not? Well, because water's not wet. I mean, obviously it's wet. So you may want something to be dry, but the reality is that it's wet.
yes. But the problem, and that's again at least the way I view it, is that they have convinced themselves so utterly that water is not wet that you could dump a bucket filled with the stuff on them, and then tell them, well, you're wet now, and you're wet because of water, and they would say, no, I'm in fact perfectly dry, because they have convinced themselves so utterly that their reality is right that they are pretty much living in a delusion.
Right.
They're living in a fantasy world.
And again, I've become very much, not, I obviously say things like that, like, I don't agree with everything he says, or I don't think he's always right, but I've become a big fan of the YouTube channel, What If Alt Hist. And, um, he is very much looking at the world sociologically and things and trying and is examining various ideologies and whatnot. And I guess I just find, not that somebody believes that communism is going to work. No, it's again, well, this map is wrong, because it's just wrong when obviously it's in reality correct. Now again, you might, you know, um, I guess, or maybe I shouldn't say map. Maybe I should say math. Um, 2 plus 2 is 4. And you may want to have um, endless amounts of money or something like that. But the reality is the money is what the money is, for taxes or whatever. And that the leadership itself wasn't diluted. It was trying to convince the world to go with their schemes, their plans. I don't know. Okay, Elizabeth, what if alt is history? YouTube really wanted to show me the Incel Rebellion video he made. Yeah, he's done a lot of good work, I would say. And he's definitely influenced my thinking on things. And I just... What is... And I love talking to Dino here and the rest of you guys in chat. Because I think about all these kinds of things a lot, and I like to hear other people's viewpoints. What is going to be the event that gets people back to reality? What's it going to take?
I have no idea. Ultimately, what could it be? I'd say I don't know, like a super right-wing populist or whatever. People come in charge and don't take over or destroy everything. They don't imprison all the Muslims.
That is sort of what is happening in America right now, but and that could happen, but that would be the easy thing. That would be the simple. That would be because like you say, take over and don't destroy everything, but reset to a reasonable reality of the world. But the levels of delusion that you can walk out and go, yeah, it's noon, and everybody going, no, it's midnight. Look, it's we say it's midnight, but the sun's up. No, the sun isn't up. It's midnight, and these people are so deluded that they can't see that day is day. They're going to cast, so if there's a group of people marching in the street in some European country saying freedom for everybody, freedom from government, freedom, they're going to say these are totalitarian right-wing dictatorship. They're going to take your freedom away, and they're literally saying the opposite. They're going to ban them, and they're going to oppress them. And because if reality doesn't matter to these people, then reality doesn't matter until reality literally is like people are literally starving, or there's literal invasions, or what. I don't know.
There is something that kind of marks just how fairly recent, at least to me, it was that things were still relatively normal. It was, I think, in what was it? It was already on like what you would probably call high school.
Okay.
Like one of the upper classes.
Right.
That our history teacher, I believe it was. Yeah, it was a history teacher. It had nothing to do with history, but it was something he just wanted to show you. He had printed out a list of all the different like genders that you could be on Facebook.
Right.
And
Got a
the
target down
entire
here.
class, boys and girls, pretty much made fun of it for both for like the whole like 5 or 10 minutes at the start of the lesson, and even made fun of it in like the breaks afterwards about how
Right.
ridiculous it was, and like the just strange need for like people to just make things up about themselves. And
Right.
that was what, 10 years ago?
Okay.
And look at how it's now.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing I hate about the gender thing is because I know I'm talking to a few people that aren't Anglo-centric in their thinking or education. It's the Shakespearean play Taming of the Shrew, and which the shrew being a wife who is not pleasant, shall we say, um, and the husband eventually gets the wife to agree and believe and act, shall we say, on what the reality that her husband is creating. So if he says it's midnight, even if the sun is up in the middle of the sky. It doesn't matter, whatever my husband says. Um,
Mm,
that's again for reference. Oh boy, they're all around this corner here. Um, that is what I've thought the real motive for supporting this transgender stuff is when you get people to believe that when somebody says freedom, that's slavery, and so
mm.
or slavery is freedom, or and it's just like when you can say male is female. Well, once you get
If
people
you
that
can convince people, like an overweight bearded guy with like a super deep voice
right
is a woman, then well, you can
convince them of
convince
anything
people
else.
of pretty much everything.
Yes. And that is what, let's see, Elizabeth saying. I don't think it'll be a catalyst. The world as a whole might, with my generation, is moving right. I think brainwashing goes against human nature and is inevitable to return. People are unhappy. Okay, well, the first problem with your statement, and I am picky about words and things like that you may be, again, you're just typing in chat quickly, so you may have not meant this way, but and this is I was talking to some of the people here. I keep reminding that they're thinking like Americans. You're thinking like a person, Elizabeth, that the Western world um, is the world as opposed to the rest of the world, which is not this. India, Africa, the rest of Asia, Indonesia. So, but you're right in that the Western world, the youth, are moving to the right. That you're right about. But it's more of a Western phenomenon than a world phenomenon. Um, I think too many people, and I think this is definitely a problem in both Europe and America, and I don't know where it's more of the problem, if you will, um, that people they view the world is through their experience, and believe that that is the totality of the world, not that that's their experience or their understanding of what's around them, but that it's if you've only been in America, you sort of expect the rest of the world. Oh yeah, they have different clothing and different food, and people are. But it's just more of America out there, or the Europe. It's those people that live on the southern Mediterranean. They're just slightly darker skinned and used to living in a slightly warmer climate than us on the northern half of the Mediterranean. And when in reality they are rather different societies, different
Mm.
viewpoints that have become almost nothing in common with each other.
Mm. Yeah, but again, with this whole like self delusion, like I've seen probably have like seen all these weird like trans for Palestine
Right.
things,
Yes.
which is almost as ridiculous as like Jews for Nazis.
Well, which is something that I think, and I'm maybe just cluing in on it now, because I have a friend here who I say spouts um,
Shit.
uh, Trump Trumpisms, if you will, or however you want to say it. But he's a firm confirmed Kamala voter because he thinks all the big corporations are run by right wing people. When they were all endorsing Kamala Harris, he's living back in the '80s, and I think the when Elizabeth was talking about Bible thumpers. Well, that was one of the three main factions of the Republican Party back in the '80s. Uh, and sure, the Christians are a element to the conservatives, but they are far, far, far from dominant. And even now, they have ideologically changed from trying to make this um, a some sort of Christian nationalist nation to just really go, hey, everybody should do their own thing. Leave us to do ours. You can do yours, and we'll just have the battle of ideas out in the public. But the government shouldn't be mandating these things. And that's how what I get from my observations and interactions, shall we say, with the Christian right. It's no longer what I forget. I'm picturing it. I'm forgetting her name. Um, who was literal Bible thumping and going after the gays, and wanting to make homosexuality illegal back in the '80s or early '80s, and um, oh Shatley or whatever I'm forgetting, and they were big supporters of Reagan, but they didn't know that Reagan, one of his good friends was Rock Hudson, who was a movie star who was rather gay. Um, and whatnot. So Reagan was not there to support their anti-gay agenda, um, but he's been tarred with it because, shall we say, his allies did have anti-gay agendas. And Queers for Palestine, they're viewing this in the terms of the PLO as being Palestine, the um, the leftist Palestine of the '70s and the '80s, and Yasser Arafat and all them guys. And I say guys because it was, you know, basically a male dominated thing, of course. So their viewpoints are stuck back then.
I'm not actually sure. At least from the like my German perspective, it's quite possible
Mm-hmm.
that it's different in the United States. But here in Germany, at least, we also have this strange alliance between like Muslims and like the left, especially
Well,
the like
no, you're right that
progressive
there is
left.
definitely the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
No, it's not
It,
just
and
like
there
yeah, that's it from the
and the
side of
Muslims
the.
and the left are anti-Western civilization. The
Yeah,
idea that
yes,
it
at least that is it. That I would agree from the Muslim point of view. From the Muslim point of view, they're useful idiots. But from at least from the
okay,
way they act, at least here
right,
in Germany, most of them don't just view them as like, all right, we'll get along now, but when we've defeated our enemies, we'll be at each other's throats.
Right.
Rather, it seems that these left wings genuinely think the Muslims are like their greatest friends and allies. They genuinely seem to believe that they are like the great people of peace and progress and progressivism and so on because they have like because they're Muslim, and the fact that
Right.
their uh, whole belief system is so utterly incompatible with theirs, like whenever you say to them, they're just immediately like, yeah, no, you're Islamophobic, you're fascist, and so on. It's like they're aware that it is incompatible, but they don't seem to ever converse with it. Like whenever they seem to think about it, their brain just seems to shut off or move into a different direction. And I think that at least again here, the like queers, trans, whatever's for Palestine, gays for Palestine, is in a similar way where they are so obsessed with the belief that like Europe is evil, and that and in very much in this post-colonialist mindset where
Right.
the like oppressed are always right, and no matter what they do, no matter how heinous or whatever is justified. Like hell, I like hell. Israel could instead of like drop of like what they're currently doing, they could be dropping flowers on them and like leaflets with please can't we just be at peace with like a happy like Jewish child and Muslim child holding hands or something, and they would still view them as like the evil colonialists who need to be destroyed. Sorry for the rant.
No, 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 no. I no, I very much appreciate because, and again, I guess that's where the unreality of the situation and it is in this, it, whether the unreality, becomes in budgets or other things that we can't sustain the welfare state or whatever, but it may just come in, um well, the left, it recently, months ago now, but recently there was, um some Canadian teacher who, was like, but we're your allies. You're supposed, you've got to support the gay people. And their Muslim students were, no, fuck the gay people. They should be burned. And this teacher was just shocked that her Muslim students weren't on board with the gay trans agenda. That the Muslim students would much prefer, the whatever right wing Christian Bible thumpers were in charge. Um, and she was just having, cognitive disconnect, on this idea. And
Yeah, from what I have seen here is that a lot of these fundamentalist Muslims do support this because to them they're useful idiots.
right,
They give them pretty much everything they want, despite the fact that it is completely incompatible. They view them as utterly insane, but according to the old maxim, never stop the enemy when he's making a mistake.
right, yes,
They heartedly embrace it. They do tend to vote very like left wing and so on because they coddle them. They give them whatever they want. Any criticism levied to them, they will defend. Is immediately they jump as the number one line of defense, catching all the bullets, while the fundamentalists in the background are just laughing their asses off. And if I was one of them, I would too.
right. Oh yeah, I don't think that they really, at least the majority of them really want to disabuse the left of their you know
Yeah, they're
viewpoints.
waiting. They're using them as they will defend them very
Well,
heavily.
actually, they're supposedly, again, I don't speak Arabic, and so I don't
Mm,
know, but supposedly coming out of, I don't know, the UAE or one of those states over there, one sort of fundamentalist cleric was blaming Palestine's losses because that they were in league with the leftists and the rest of the world, and God was punishing them for this.
I could see that.
These were other fundamentalists who, and
Mm,
people who really do believe that you winning or losing because God is pleased with you. I mean, that's their actual world view is how they think the world works. But let me read
yeah.
some of what Elizabeth has
All
been
right.
saying here. I was in Armenia for a little bit recently, and their disconnect from social media. They had a society feeling like a different planet. I have to agree. The world I meant was the Western Sphere. Yes, anyone who believes. Oh, and Japan is very, very uh, social media connected, but it's within, shall we say, mostly the Japanese bubble. It's not connected for the most part to the Western social media world. That's very much the fringe. They do touch each other, but they're really two different worlds going on, even though they're both very, very, very social media, but it's a different social media for them. And let's continue. Anyone who believes the Islam is peaceful lie is delusional. More slavery exists now than under Islam. Yeah, definitely there's more state slavery. Islam is only peaceful to those who have not experienced it well, or those who are willing to just comply to it, I would also say. Churchill had a quote on their approach to minority rights, I believe. Yeah, he very well may have. Churchill definitely spent a lot of time in the Muslim world, much more than most people. Let's go up to 4-3 just to do
All right.
something a little different. Different
All
set
right.
of different set of vehicles. Yeah.
Well, well,
And so I just back to that. So okay, Elizabeth and Dino. Those are the two most um, interactive here today. Would Europe be willing to go it alone? Because no, I don't think Trump is going to invade France if France doesn't get on board with Trump's agenda. But Trump may literally take, or virtually take, not maybe literally, but virtually take all of our support for Europe, etc., and just bring it home and just go, well, yeah, yeah, no money for Ukraine, no money for whatever. We're done with whatever. Um, if you're not going to get on board my agenda, would would Europe go it alone?
that is a good question. Let me think.
Yeah, I mean, take your time, either of you. Like if Trump said, if Trump offered, because like right now, Anthony Blinken within the last 2 or 3 days came out and said we are pumping every single bit of money that we have right now and getting it to Ukraine before January, so that they are trying to, supply up money and or equipment to Ukraine before Trump comes into office,
Hmm.
so that Trump has the least influence over Ukraine for a while. But that money obviously won't last. I do believe Trump will negotiate with Putin a a peace agreement. And if Putin won't agree to Trump's peace agreement, well, then Putin will become the enemy, and Trump will support anti-Putin measures. But if Putin agrees to what Trump thinks is reasonable, whether it is or isn't doesn't matter, but what Trump thinks matters. What and if Putin agrees to what Trump thinks is reasonable, whatever that may be, I'm not saying I like it or agree with it or think it's good or anything like that. Trump will go, okay, you're on board with me, or I'm out of here to Ukraine and to Europe. And I think a lot of these European leaders have convinced themselves the necessity of bringing down the Putin regime. It's not about Ukraine. It's not about um, Ukraine's borders, Ukraine's future. I think to them it's about destroying Putin, and they won't like anything that gives Putin a breathing space. Even though I just read an article before coming on stream about how half of the world's uranium processing is done in Russia, and we're all dependent upon whether you get it directly from Russia or simply, if Russia wasn't supplying their half, the other half that won't supply everyone's needs enough. So we're still trading heavily with Russia, even though Russia is, or Putin is Hitler or whatever. So do they really mean it? I don't know, but will they go like, okay, Trump has a peace agreement. It seems reasonable. We'll get on board, or will they just go, no, 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 Putin must die, Putin must end, and so will they? So okay, what is Elizabeth says? We will never cut umbilical cord. Too dependent and ungratefully so. Well, yeah, okay. So that they because it won't be with Trump having your cake and eating it too. It won't be, oh well, we're criticizing Trump, blah 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 blah. No, it will have to be a do what Trump says, not um, buck his system. So they'll have to buckle down. Okay, Dino,
Yeah,
you've had time to
the
think.
problem, yeah, I'm actually in a somewhat similar position, I think, to Elizabeth. The problem is that in order for Europe or certain European countries to be present themselves as a more actually equal partner, they should actually take on equal or at least some responsibility. But here in Europe, at least here in Germany, for example, we are so heavily anti-military that any quote unquote taking on responsibility, increasing the military budget, actually making the military not dog shit, is a very hard sell, as we have had literally decades of anti-military propaganda shoved down our throats. That's now walking all of that back and saying, yeah, actually, we should increase the military. We should
Okay.
have like a decent army and so on. We actually should take on some responsibility within NATO as well.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, but you've just finished explaining to me that these leaders are delusional. They might think they already have a strong enough military. They might think their military is already good enough.
All
They
right,
don't have to.
I can see this for others, but certainly not Germany, as our leaders are, at least here in Germany, very, very well aware that the Bundeswehr is a joke. They are incredibly well aware that the Bundeswehr is a joke, that the position of defense minister is a joke, and that the whole thing has been mishandled and pretty much used to possibly launder money or and so on. That it's ridiculous. But here in Germany, at least, the view is that we don't need an army
Well,
because we
okay.
are
Well,
surrounded.
yes, and I will agree with you in the sense that I don't know what the leadership, again, what the actual current leadership thinks of the if that's what they think the Bundeswehr is a joke, but they may think military itself as other than expeditions out into the desert or the jungle somewhere is just a joke, and we really don't need this.
And that is, yes, that is what what they believe because they've actually said it. Not the current ones, but in the past, it has literally been said we don't even. There were actually people arguing in the government for the
Right,
complete or large scale dissolution of the army because it was viewed we are surrounded
right,
by friends, so we don't need a military.
right.
Besides, our military is evil because we are Germany, and so our neighbors will also like us more if we don't have an army.
Right. And so why would that mean that they just if you cut ties with America because they're an evil militaristic power, we should just go with because if they're so self-deluded that it wouldn't matter. I mean, they know it's a joke. Well, fine, militaries are jokes because just militaries are jokes. Um,
Well, not all
that
militaries, but our military is. We
well,
don't
well,
need a military because other people
but
are willing to die for us.
so what I guess what I'm saying is would that in their would that form in their calculation of going it alone, or would they just sort of go, oh hey, we don't need a military to protect us. We
Again,
military.
and this is why I think they are not willing to go in alone, because all of like these because if we were to go in alone, then we actually would need the army.
So they realize enough of reality there that they would need an
Yeah,
effective
again, the
fighting
whole
force.
calculus of behind Germany not needing an army, besides the
Well, living under
German,
the U.S.
besi
Nuclear umbrella, yeah, I get that.
yes, yes, and well, the German guild complex
Right. Oh yeah, no,
is
I get that. Yeah.
is that that has where we are pretty much drilled or from like birth that military and army is bad, where soldiers are in it is not a in most circles at least being a soldier in Germany is not particularly something you want to be, as it comes with pretty much you risk your life, be it in like some mission outside of Germany, or
Right.
doing like dangerous like relief work within Germany when there's like a flood, earthquake, or whatever.
Right.
It is insanely ungrateful. Soldiers are heavily maligned within modern German society. So it's not a particular. So it's which is also why the military, from the way they view it, has a problem with right wing extremism, because the only people willing to go in the military are the nationalists.
Right. Yes, Fritz is a nationalist.
Hell, while I'm not a particularly intense one, most people will probably consider calling me a nationalist too, but I was never in the military, nor will I ever be. I don't have the temperament for it. But
Right.
um,
Say and I talk to Fritz a lot,
mm,
and candidly at times. Yeah, Fritz. You know, Fritz is definitely a nationalist, and
Deutschland,
I
Deutschland über alles.
I wonder how. There it is. Okay, let me kill this thing here. So yes, bye bye. Okay, so I've often wondered how much is how representative is Fritz of the military in Germany today. Um, but
Like
yes,
a lot of the like I don't know much. I don't know all that many people in the military. But
right,
from what the overall is that usually people in the military are conservative. Like the bulk are more like centrist conservatives, still patriot, but still patriotic.
Okay. Okay. So what you're saying is, um, uh, well, you say centrists, and I presume you're using that term meaning centrist today, or you think the bulk of the
Yes.
military is centrist. Okay, so Fritz is
Well,
not like the
yes, yes.
average
No,
because
I don't mean he's not like the average, but I'd say people like him are also not a total minority. I'd say around half would be like centrist, would be like centrist in the sense that nowadays they would probably be called more like conservatives, but overall, in generally,
thanks,
generally
Easy.
they'd be overall centrist, like centrist, just but patriot, but certainly
Right,
patriotic probably.
right,
Um, and then you would have like of the rest you'd have like um is where you would have then probably like at least one fourth would be like actively like fairly heavily like the nationalistic and the and definitely different degrees to right wing. Then you have a few people who are left wing. After all, there is also left wing nationalism. But
yeah, yeah,
also some more like progressive like left wing people who want to be in the military for whatever reason, and there you would then also have like the actual like right wing extremists that are there.
right,
That
yeah.
is that
See,
is my vague idea of how it probably looks.
um, you know, Fritz, and I'm going to be careful in what I say here, just because
Mm.
it potentially be whatever. But I think Fritz would qualify as a, or what you would, what you might call a hardcore nationalist in the spectrum of the Kaiser's army in World War I. Fritz would be in the hardcore nationalists. Whatever
Yeah.
that might mean to you. Not just a German nationalist, a hardcore German nationalist under the Kaiser. You know, that would I think be an accurate description of Fritz's nationalism. Uh,
Mm.
you know, and
Yeah.
and that type of thing. Um, so he is definitely not your average German soldier. Um, now
He
he's not like plotting to, and just want to say he's not like trying to plot to overthrow the Constitution or anything like that. It's just he is, you know, the government should get its head together and tell us everyone what should do and be
is.
start the pa marching bands up again and as the
Well, at
basic.
least with the Umpapa marching bands, I think we can both agree there.
Yeah, oh yeah, and I don't think Fritz
I
wants to
like
go
those.
back and try to conquer Europe. He just wants a strong Germany sitting in the center of it. Um,
Yeah,
it's not. It's
overall my thing. I mean, hell, my actual political beliefs are all over the place.
yeah, yeah, and I
Which is
get
why,
that from
funnily
you.
enough, whenever I do like political tests, I almost always end up center right or center left, depending on which one it is, as they all have like different like questions and so on.
Right,
And so on because my political ideas are so all over the place that they all are just like kind of even out somewhere in the middle. It's kind of
right.
funny.
And I understand that. I understand people don't. Um, Most people don't truly fit within a normal political party spectrum,
Mm,
but it's normally, at least my experience is that those who um, do have a strong affiliation are often one or two issues that they don't compromise on, and that keeps them locked into um, a political, orientation. Like
mm,
for me, the right to keep and bear arms is something that I won't compromise on. I can
mm,
compromise on a lot of things because I do believe that, you know, politics is the art of the possible and other things. But so I can never vote for the Democrat because even if at times I might like a lot of their stuff better than the Republicans, they're just anti-gun, so that I can just never go there. And
mm,
so yeah, I am not very much not a Bible thumper, but if the Bible thumpers are the only ones that are going to let me have my guns, well, and freedom of speech and other things, well,
Hmm.
then okay. Now, if the Bible thumpers are going to take all that away from me, well, then I'm not going to vote for them, but I'm also not going to vote for the Democrats. And it's that sort of things that lock me into the right. Let's see what Elizabeth is saying. The EU has potential to be its own thing, but our leadership has made no efforts on things like independent energy and volunteer armies. Yes, that was this. I don't know how much, but they're saying at least on the world's uranium processing. That's very specific, not necessarily on the original sources, because I know that they've driven a lot of that type of stuff out of America to parts of the world which have less environmental regulations. But like half of the uranium processing for nuclear power plants and whatnot right now comes from Russia. And I don't know how much other energy currently is going to Central and Western Europe from Russia that are currently buying it. So, you know,
Hmm.
if I really thought Russia was the problem that the European leadership spouts off that it is, meaning it, do they really believe what they're saying about Russia, or is it just motivational speeches? If they really believed it, I would be more than trying to send more money to Ukraine. I would be shutting down all economic ties with Russia and recreating a true new Cold War situation, and that includes banking, and that includes no Russian citizens in my country. You go back home. I'm not talking about people who have emigrated and changed citizenship, but you still have a lot of Russian elites living in the West. They'd all go home.
Words, words are easy.
Right.
Deeds are hard,
You're
and
absolutely
deeds have greater consequences than words, or even sending like a few guns, or allowing a few volunteers somewhere.
absolutely. And let's continue without America burdening the bill of capable offensive fighting force, we couldn't afford our luxurious social welfare programs. Losing America would be a gigantic blow. Trump told us to make independent energy. I believe he told Germany directly. Now we have to ration our energy consumption because Russia was the source. Yes. And so this is the reality because Trump, because I'm watching Trump very closely. Yeah, I'm sitting in another state. I'm not looking through my binoculars at Trump, but I'm watching what he's doing. I'm watching who he's appointing. I'm watching what he's saying. I really believe Trump is not going to take bullshit, and I think after the assassination attempt, after trying to put him in prison multiple times here, after lying about everything that he says and does, um, Trump just doesn't give a shit anymore about what the sentimentality of European thought is, and I think yes, he's a deal maker. Yes, he's pragmatic. He isn't ideological. But you're either going to get on board with Trump or he is not. You are the problem, and so you will no longer be whatever. And I don't think, and Europe had better make this calculation. I know I'm not, unfortunately, talking to European leaders here. Not that you guys aren't great, but you know what I mean. Um,
Yes.
it isn't
Michael
just
the First, Emperor of Germany. I
right.
like the sound of that.
It Trump isn't going to just be a 4 year phenomenon that you can outweigh him, because um, I and I don't know much about it, but JD Vance is part of a group of, I think, primarily men, but there may be some women involved, that have been sponsored by Peter Thiel and a few other people that some years ago sort of got together and created a bit of a cabal. And these are sort of fresh thinkers, truly bright minds that have been described by a few people that have met some of the group element of these people. So I think they have latched on to Trump. I think they're going to and it appears that they're following along with Trump's agenda. And so I think JD Vance and crew are going to be around for 8 years after Trump. So that's going to be a total of 12 years, and it's going to be something more than you can just sort of kind of wait out and presume Kamala Harris 2.0 or Biden 2.0 or whatever is going to just be up in 4 years, and they'll reset the situation, the conditions back to whatever was prior, and so that there really is this sea change I'm seeing. And I may be getting it all wrong, but that is what I'm seeing of what's going on. And
I think that is not so far off.
and this is what I talk about, the reality. If they're going to be able to see reality, and Dino saying no, but yes, they see the reality. They see the defense reality is as something that is there, and they're going to have to pay attention to, because Trump is going to be a big disruptor, and he will, I think, be very willing to, pull the plug on NATO or whatever if it truly becomes not a, like I say, he's a negotiator, he's a deal maker. They're willing to make the deal, then fine. But if they're going to be obstinate and think it is Biden and Obama and America will just comply with whatever their needs, they're going to be rudely, you know, disabused of that viewpoint, I think.
By the way, we were talking about earlier about like the whole gender
Right.
stuff. The one thing that I hate the most here in Germany is the utter ruination of our language.
Okay.
You don't really have that in English, but German is a highly gendered language in the grammatical sense. So
Okay.
you
Yes.
have
I,
every
I, I
noun and
understand the concept. I don't like specifically
exactly.
know German how it is, but yes.
Yes, so every noun and adjective has one of three grammatic genders:
Okay.
masculine, feminine, or neutral.
Right.
And in German specifically, it used to be that plurals are almost always in a masculine form, as masculine
Okay.
was pretty much the generic catch-it-all, with the feminine being used for either nouns that already are feminine, or if it's about people, very specifically when we are talking explicitly about just women.
Okay.
But this was offensive to people, to feminists specifically,
German
and
feminists or
German feminists.
okay.
Uh, as what what happened was it was viewed that the generic masculine made women invisible, that it's made people more likely to be sexist, apparently. At least that's what they said, and so the generic masculine was dropped in favor of using both feminine and masculine in like a follow order, like first the feminine word, then and then the masculine word,
Okay. I'm sort of following, but go on. Yeah.
which already made things very difficult, very annoying a lot of the times, as previously fairly simple sentences now became quite long and unwieldy, and more and more words were getting female versions, where it ended up being just immensely strange. Like I once had like where they had a specific female version of like drone pilot.
Okay.
But at that point, at least the overall grammatical structure of the sentences still made sense, even if they became and the words were still fine, even if everything was a bit annoying to like write down and say. But now things has taken another turn, because now we don't just have men and women. Now it's not just about being sexist towards women. Now it's about all the billion other genders that there are, and we must also be inclusive towards those now, don't we? And we cannot use, of course, the generic masculinum, because that's sexist. There's again, apparently, grammatical gender now is the same thing as like biological gender, or well, psychological gender, I suppose, nowadays. Despite, for example, the German word for girl being neutral. But so what they came up with is that they use the word, make a stop, you make like a little like star symbol just before the female word ending, and then put the female word ending there. Instead of the star symbol, it can also be like a lowercase bar or something along those lines. And it is pronounced, and the word is pronounced with where you make a little stop when like before the female ending, so that all of the trillion other genders can imagine themselves being mentioned
All right.
there. And it sounds ridiculous, and quite often the previous like male word isn't even there anymore, because quite a lot of German words have female forms that are not just male form with a different ending or an extra ending to it, and it is insanely strange to read.
Right. I
It
get that.
completely takes you out of every single sentence, and it has been in multiple. There have been many like questionnaires. I kind of forgot the word. That prove that a vast majority of the German population, like I think it's around between 60 to 70%, disagrees with this. They don't like it, but
Right.
but the but not the government itself, but like the media and others are heavily pushing this. You are now almost find you will now see many like newspapers, internet sites, even things like fitness studios and supermarkets all using this
Right.
way of writing. And if you like
Hmm.
criticize it, it's like, yeah, well, you don't have to
Okay.
use it. It's not like the government is enforcing it. And I'm like, yes, the government isn't enforcing it yet. And there are some like local governments that are even trying to fight against it, but the soft powers that be are borderline enforcing it, in the sense that they are plastering it everywhere in your face.
Right. And I can see the issue here, and I want to read. I know Liz, Elizabeth has made other comments, but Elizabeth's latest comment is, "I feel Dino's pain. Lithuanian is gendered too, and the psychos want to dismantle it." Okay, now let me advocate a position here. Not necessarily a position that I fully agree with or whatever. So don't take this too personally from me, either of you. Um, what the fuck does this matter? You're talking about German or Lithuanian? These are dying languages. You learn English. We get on this the English, because you're going to have the EU. It's not, you need a common language if you're having a common everything else. And what is it going to be? French or German? No,
I'm
it's going
for
to.
Latin.
Well, no, Latin is is an archaic, overly burdensome language.
Exactly, just like the EU.
Well, yes, but the people actually have to function. Not We're not talking about the bureaucrats here. We're actually talking about the people.
I
Um,
mean, if we could get like everyone in the European Parliament to wear togas, I would view this as an absolute win.
well, they might be willing to do that to get your support. if it was actually going to be successful. Meaning not just you, but enough other people. So, um, and I'm more than half serious that, and maybe this is just coming from, since I'm an English speaker, and so all the Lithuanians and the Germans that I know are English speakers as well. Some are better than others at speaking English within my friend groups. But I really do see, and it's not just the EU, it's not just America, it's the internet. I actually see driving it more than anything else is that if you want to be part of the world, instead of in the Japanese bubble, like I was talking about earlier, or the German bubble, or the whatever bubble, if you want to be part of the world, you want to be able to read and speak English. And so, why not just read and speak English every part of your day, and not just when you're online? Why again, I'm not arguing against your pain there, Dino. I'm going, does this really even effing matter? Let
Well,
them just
in that case,
let them
in
destroy
that
German
case,
language.
in that case, why even have a Germany? Why even have a Lithuania? Why have a Russia? Why have a China? Hell, why even have a United States of America? In that case, we should all be the Anglophone world order.
Well, that's sort of what the UN was sort of set up to be. It hasn't worked out so well, but that's what the UN was set up to be. A one world government that would manage um, uh, difficulties between states, and states can not necessarily like using it again. I because I talk to so many Americans that they presume states is just another term for providence or province, where what that they live in, but an actual government. Um,
By
why
the way,
wouldn't
hello, Eric.
Hello.
Eric? And so um, you know, I I am more than half serious that, and no, it isn't going to die in my lifetime. German, and I understand language is a deep part of culture, but
For Germany especially, it literally is in many ways our culture.
yeah,
It is pretty much for all of German history, our language pretty much has been the most defining trait of our culture. There is little else really beside this. There is, for example, most of what for people outside Germany consider to be German culture isn't actually German culture. It's like Bavarian or Prussian.
right.
It's and the one thing that has always united the Germans was the language. The language was what, in many ways, also what drove German unification.
Right.
But again, I digress.
No, and in let me pick my time correct. In 1970, most Frenchmen only interacted with Frenchmen. Yeah, of course, there's people in the tourist industry, but and yes, of course, you once in a while interacted with a foreigner, but most French people interacted with Frenchmen. They read French newspapers, they watched French movies and TV. Even if they were made in Hollywood, they were redubbed over into French. It was French. And the same with Germany, same with Italy, same with Spain, same with England. It was English stuff. And people interacted, we can find cosmopolitan cities now and again or something like that. But the overwhelming majorities of all of the populations, are you joining us or just hanging out, Eric?
I think I'm hanging out for now.
Okay. Um, but now with the internet, we don't want to wait for, like one series, I made sure I watched via the interwebs and not maybe the most legitimate uh, method, because it was on first, was Babylon Berlin, and and I was happy to be able to just deal with the subtitles. I didn't need it English spoken. So long as and it was fine because it was in German, but it was also about Germany, and it wasn't a German thing set in America, using German language but set in America. It was Germany set in Germany, and so. But this is sort of illustrating the now international aspects to society and culture, if you will, because of the interwebs, compared to what it was in the past. That no matter what, unless you're going to create the Great Firewall of China and have China segregated out from the rest of the world, you're going to get more and more, a one world language or several world languages. Maybe like I say, Chinese could be one of them, and a few other bubbles like that. But it's going to to and so because you're absolutely right, language as a core element of a culture, and so Anglo culture will seep into all other cultures for good or for bad. It's just going to happen. But will it go to the point of eroding local language use, and is that just going to be the future? Oh, I was stupid. I died. And so, will it matter that German?
In the overall, for the whole of humanity, maybe, probably not overly much. But I suppose this has to do with also my general ideas. I'm in some ways for like diversity in the old-fashioned sense, i.e. a world that is very different countries that are very different from each other, that have different philosophies, different languages, different beliefs, different clothes they like to wear, even within that country, different dialects, and certain groups that might also be completely different, that have their own like rituals, their own traditions, and so on.
Now, again, and I don't know if I used to be involved in cultural preservationist movements dealing with Scottish culture. So don't think that this is something that I'm cheering on or think is that I'm trying to make happen, or this is just Gamer being such American centric that he thinks everything is like America. No, I don't, and I understand the idea of wanting to preserve things. And like from studying my history up until, and again in my name, until 1745, Gaelic culture in the Highlands of Scotland, it was all of the changes, well, predominantly, the changes were, if you will, voluntary, in that they adopted things from outside. After 1746, actually, foreign cultures now being imposed upon the Highlands. It's, in fact, technically illegal to speak, the Gaelic, and it's illegal to wear tartan clothing. And so this is stuff being crushed by law and trying to crush the culture and anglify the culture, as opposed to like, oh, hey, this food is good, we're going to adopt it, or oh, hey, this word makes sense, let's use it in our usage, or as sort of organically things are shown to be good or useful or whatever and get adopted. That I don't know that there's going to be, or even think likely in the next 100, 200 years, like the forbidding of teaching of German in German schools. But I could see, and yes, this is partially from the American domination post World War II.
I mean, it's already happening. There are, for example, in our capital, there are quite a lot of places where you literally cannot go around without English because barely anyone speaks German. Speaks German there.
Right.
German there. There are entire cafes and restaurants where you can only do so in English. And again, I think part of that probably goes back with the German self-hatred, because after all, what is more German than our language? So if we no longer have the language, then we'll no longer have any identity whatsoever, and then we can finally be free of the shadow of the past, if you so will.
The guilt.
At least that's how some people might think. And I'm very well aware of that. It's happening here more so than in some other places. Places which still have some language, authority, I suppose you could say, or where the language is still quite heavily used, which is.
But you can look at some place like Lithuania, just because Elizabeth is here. How many good TV series is Lithuanian media going to make? How many, books are going to be written in Lithuanian that are good, that or great, whatever that would be? And how long, how much are you going to wait for whatever it is to be translated into Lithuanian from English? So if you want to read, I'm going to butcher this, Dostoevsky, one of the great Russian writers. Well, okay, yeah, he's been around a long time. There may be a Lithuanian version of him. But let's presume there's a new powerhouse writer coming out in Russian. Are they going to, the budget to translate that well, and not just Google Translate, but maybe AI will do it. But still, it's just going to be the movie about the book or whatever. It's just going to be in English. And things are just so you're going to... The English will be either the first language of the creation or the main...
Fritz.
Hey, Fritz. German reinforcements are here.
Our extreme nationalist is here.
Yes. Nationalist, yes. And so, so English is the big language for everyone. And I just see that as everything else over time, not just...
Well, at least that's something where we in Germany don't really have to worry about. Germany is I believe, one of, if not the country with the most competent and large-scale translation and dubbing industry, also of the dubbing, and also dubbing of the highest quality.
Well, we are a good market for American.
You'll find to the point where you actually have German voiceovers who did voiceovers for certain actors who are pretty much celebrities within Germany, almost as much as the actors are.
Well, you see what Mussolini did is he forbid movies in foreign languages so that it had to be dubbed into Italian, not subtitled. And the Italian movie industry, because of this, and they were dubbing everything over, gets so good at handling sounds that even Italian-made movies were shot without concern about sound, that they would, especially outdoors, that they would just shoot them outdoors and then go in sound studios, redub the sounds, and then add environmental sounds as desired. If it was filming a Roman Colosseum scene or something out of doors, and not having modern traffic sounds, they would just add the historical stuff. They got so good at that that is how Roman movies were set up, and so the actors would just say whatever line would say the lines, but not really care so much about the sound of it.
The funny
So
thing about the German,
Italian movies had the most weird voice lines ever.
yeah,
Like
and so
I don't know, it's a different kind of funny. Like the whole Bud Spencer movies.
I don't know if I know them.
Um,
The famous movie that I know of is The Bicycle Thief, which was made back in the 50s. But
I don't know the English names for it.
Right,
but they have a cult status in Germany. At least they had.
Right.
And all those voice lines are so fucking crazy. No normal people talks like that. It's weird.
Right.
And they have all translations. They were very funny.
I mean, the funny thing about German dubbing is also that you have quite a few German movies where I would genuinely say the dubbing is better than the English original.
Yes, especially with Arnold.
I actually like Arnold's voice. I actually think part of watching his movies is like the funny German accent he has.
True, yes. Especially Conan.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, that's one of the things where you could definitely say that if you don't like his accent, then I would say that the German dub is better.
Did he dub his own German accents?
He didn't. No, he didn't. He has his own German voice actor who used to dub him in everything. Again, in Germany, we have pretty much certain actors have their certain voice actors here who pretty much always dub them, except for Christopher Lee, who sometimes dubbed himself.
Are you guys playing?
Yeah, we are. We'll invite you next mission.
What BR?
4-3.
4-3.
4-3. Okay.
But yeah, that's one of the funny things is the animated movie, The Last Unicorn, has Sir Christopher Lee voice acting himself, his own dubbing his own character in the German version,
right?
Because he spoke like 5 languages or whatever, or I think even more fluently, and German was one of them.
Christopher Lee.
I mean, Christopher Lee is, in my personal opinion, probably one of, if not the greatest man of like the last 100 years. I would almost say.
Oh, he led a very fascinating life.
Yeah,
I think some of it is
killed people.
I think some of it is legend, meaning I think he talked to his legend up status. But I think there's a lot of truth in the core of the legend.
Wasn't he the one that said, "Well, humans don't make that noise when you"?
Oh
yes. He did that during the filming of Return of the King.
Right.
Yeah,
and
something with the knives.
Yes. And I don't know if he actually did kill anybody with a knife. But
he didn't necessarily have to kill someone himself. Like, we know for a fact that he was in the British Special Forces during the war.
Yeah, and he made it to, like, I think Rome prior to proper occupation, and he was definitely there.
He doesn't need to stab anyone himself. He can just witness someone getting stabbed.
Oh yes,
and that'll and he didn't say that he stabbed anyone. He just said that's not
the sound
voice,
that you make.
It's people implying from that or thinking from that he's stabbed someone, which is certainly true.
He very well may have. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just going. I think he's being dramatic in some of what he's saying, not untruthful, not being untruthful, but being dramatic. So, but yes, he is. He is very much a.
But the thing is that he can pull it off without coming across as self-indulgent.
Yes, Christopher Lee was very, very different.
Mm. One of the Yeah, I still find. I think the last role he actually played, or at least the last movie with him in that came out, was actually the last of the Hobbit movies.
Right.
So his last role was Saruman,
Mm-hmm.
with his last on-screen words being, I believe, something like, let me remember. I've only watched the movie, rewatched the movie fairly recently. Ah, yes, leave Sauron to me. I think we're winning this match.
Yeah, it looks that way. I got an enemy aircraft up here, and maybe the last thing. Oh, there's also a medium tank out there. I see a line.
Yeah. But there were also another thing about him here in connection again with Germany is that there was like a bunch of like German like film making like nerds pretty much who were making like a fan movie based on a popular German role playing game, and they encountered Christopher Lee on like a convention, and actually managed to convince him to have a cameo in their film as like the Dark Lord, like the evil necromancer. He only says like a single line, but but it's still interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read what you've talked about soap operas, Elizabeth, and this is there's I try to follow pop culture even though I'm not really always immersed in it, and that I'm not a 20 something, um, or whatever. But there's um, let's get Fritz in here. There is a controversies over whether it's dubbing or subtitling a lot of Japanese anime, and how the people that have done it have significantly altered the meaning. But even if you're not attempting to alter the meaning of the words, it's
Things will
just
always get lost.
yes, it's lost in translation is the term, that some of the deeper meanings.
Gamer,
One of
do,
one of the future one of the future things that were proposed that you looked at in the movie Blade Runner. Now, when that movie was conceived, very much Japan was on the ascendancy, and it was thought to become like the dominant power in the Pacific Rim. So they had the sort of street language there as sort of a mix of Japanese and English and whatnot. What I think can happen is not that English will, as we know it now, will be the strict universal language. It'll become sort of a mashup of languages, so that whether it's words or phrases, whether from German or other things, that will enter in and create enter into a unified English language, so that it becomes the language that people think in. I do think that is another possibility with the West, is not strict English, but a mashup even more so, because English is in essence that already, in that it is a mashup of
Yeah, a lot of German
Anglo-Saxon,
words, a lot of
well,
French words.
Anglo-Saxon and specifically Norman French, because again, French was localized a lot, that creates English. So we have sort of somewhat German syntax with a lot of German words, with also a lot of French words or Latin words, however you want to put it, in there, and we've continued to adopt words like loot. When you loot the bodies or whatever, well, that's coming from Hindi. That's so the British experience in India, and so English has been adopting all these different things over the generations. I think it might become sort of much more so just because of the internet, but I don't know. That's just a different thought.
Well, how are you, Fritz?
I'm fine as always. Oh, thanks for asking. How are you?
All right. Having a bit of weird pseudo cold symptoms sometimes.
Well, I'm coughing since 2 months now, but that's
That
not.
sucks.
I don't consider that to be like very bad.
That sucks. My thing is that I always have like a closed nose in in like the mornings and sometimes even for the whole day.
I mean, it's autumn in Germany. It's,
Yeah, I've had it. I've had this since like 3 weeks ago when I had COVID.
okay.
But who knows?
Yes, who knows?
Right. When I die the next time, I'm going to get myself something to drink. My throat is quite dry and parched.
I am quite parched.
Something just in my mind. Gamer, do you know Asterix, like the comics?
Asterix Noblix?
No,
Yes,
not
those.
necessarily.
All right,
Really? Man,
but
you miss
Eric
out on
knows.
something.
But Eric knows them. It's set in like Roman Gaul, and it's quite funny. But
Okay.
but the original German translation, and this is one of the things where you have like deliberately changing the meaning of like the first like comic or maybe also like the first two or so, completely changed the characters, turning the previous Asterix the Gaul into Asterix the German, who was now Germanic,
Right.
like the village were like in like on like the other side of the Rhine, and they were like Germanic tribesmen instead of Gallic tribesmen.
Right. Okay.
This was of course changed quite quickly, but it's just something I thought was kind of funny.
I very much think, or from my studies, that Gallic culture has been massively lost. Um, in that people can sort of kind of um, they're projecting when they talk about Gallic culture, and they're often using things like Germanic culture or other sort of European tribal type views and projecting upon the
Yeah, I mean they
Gauls.
were pretty much completely destroyed and assimilated by the Romans.
Well, no, um, because well, I'm not, and when I'm talking about that, I'm also talking not Gallic, Gaelic, shall we say?
You mean Gaelic in general? All right.
Yes, Gaelic, because yes, the Gauls, particularly in France, yes, but you have the Gaelic cultures. Like I was
You
saying.
mean you mean Celtic cultures or what?
Well, no, okay. Gaelic is the language. Um,
Yeah, okay.
so and they are Gaels as well as Celts. It to some degree it is an interchangeable term, um, and so there, to the best of our knowledge, there are a lot of similarities between the Gauls, pre Caesar's Gauls, and the Britons. Just as being basically at least our understanding, the same thing, um, and so basically the same culture, and a lot of that has been
All right, I'm going to get
lost.
myself something to drink. I'll be back
Right.
shortly.
Yeah, good luck. Don't die on your way.
And there's enough, shall we say, difference there that they themselves, between the Germans and the Celts, were very competitive against each other. that they did not they saw massive differences, shall we say?
Yeah, but the Germans were very harsh to each other too. So
Yeah, but and
from my point of view, the Celts are just Germans.
yeah, I get that sort of big pan Germanic idea, but the language is very different.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is,
true. But
but
genetically,
language conveys ideas. Yes, they're you know, if you want to call them tribal or localized kingdoms, kind of existence, but that would mirror out to be similar than you know more similar to the German. But I don't get, because I've studied and been part of the Scottish culture. They very much see their tribe as literal family. You know, clan. Clan is, you know, much more of a family ideal that there that I don't, at least I don't see in um, German culture, but maybe I'm just not seeing it there.
mm, it was the tribe was everything.
Yeah, and because I am sort of weird with language and specific, um,
Well, at one point, whole close to whole Europe was speaking the same language and had the same what is it called deity,
yeah,
the
yeah,
same deities, different names.
yeah. Um, oh, you know how much is
It would be very clever from the
Woden and
Roman side
Odin.
to
You know Woden and
just call
Odin.
them different, divide and conquer. You know.
Yeah, I hear you, and they're again. I don't know how much of this is
I'm
modern
gonna head
day.
out.
Okay,
Take care.
see, Eric, is modern day projection versus what was actually there. But to my understanding, the Celts had a different deity set. It wasn't the Woden and Odin, just sort of slightly interchangeable um, mythos, and like you're talking about,
All right, I'm back.
it's a different. You
Yeah,
know, the
welcome
Celts had
back.
a different sort of mythos, a different sort of gods. Um,
Yeah, but they also had the ancestral cult, which was a thing even before the Nordic pantheon.
Yeah, and in Britain there is now, because again a lot of this is so lost. We're trying to piece it together. Um, how much of um, the ancient beliefs in Britain were Celtic versus pre-existing, and you know the famous sort of Stonehenge that is there, that is clearly now to be understood pre-Celtic, or you know by 10,000 years or more, um, but where originally it was presumed to just be Celtic um, culture. So yeah, it's really it's piecing together where the Germans have a much longer or much more continuous existence between them, uh, that is apparent. You know, modern day you can much easier trace modern day Germanism from what's going on, where we have to sort of guess with the Celtic. Okay, we lost because Dino needed to get a drink. I'm blaming him.
Yes, but he's back already.
I just went away to get myself a drink, and the Russians are at the gates of Berlin. We are losing the war. What the hell is happening?
Yes.
Yeah, and you even have to ask.
Right. Right.
Clearly, I apparently, I thank you for your belief in me. That apparently I am the strategic mastermind of this operation, and that without me you are all completely lost.
Yes, of course.
Lost in translation again.
Yes, I am the greatest of all time. Größter Feldherr aller Zeiten.
Jawohl.
And so that's that's like we're talking the difference about Fritz was saying the tribe is all and whatnot, but the idea of a tribe versus a clan, and as
Isn't
both.
that just different words?
No, I wouldn't say so.
I'd say I'd say a clan is smaller, like on the smaller scale than a tribe. Like a clan, I would say is like a large family, pretty much, whereas a tribe is like multiple clans working together.
Right.
That's probably not. That's probably wrong, but
Well,
but that's like the closest to what I would
it's
now out of my head say.
right, and nothing is quite fits the exact formula of anything in reality, but it's really much more a perceived greater family, a clan, a family big enough that you can marry within it. It's not but everybody's like in essence cousins, and they could all
A larger extended family.
yes, but it functions as as an organization like a tribe might, but there's much more close family within. It's sort of a family operating as a tribe, if you will, as opposed to controlling a specific area of territory, having its specific leaders, but they're all of the family. Everybody's of the family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's much more of a tight ideal. Now, in reality, probably most everybody in a tribe probably was, some scale a cousin of each other, just because,
Yeah, it
over
has
the
to be.
generation. Yeah, and so it's more of a conceptual difference of how they viewed themselves, than maybe a reality difference, but that does matter. One of the chiefs, of the latter Celtic tribes, demanded that all of his clansmen adopt one last name, so that they were all the same name. Where most of the clan would identify that they are part of a clan that has a particular last name, but if they didn't happen to share that, that was fine, because you know the not everybody has a direct patronymical or male ancestry to the same person. So since they still did it through the male, their family name, but you marry, your wife was of that family name, so but your children would have your name and not the wife's family name, but you're all of that wife's clan or whatever that you're functioning as. So there, most of the clans would have a known group of names, but predominantly the clan name as their main last name. But so it's there. Oh, Elizabeth says Steiner went out for a drink at the wrong time. Yeah. So that's bye bye.
It still sounds to me like you're talking about a tribe. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
What sizes are we talking about? Like, how many people?
uh,
50 to 100?
no, people, on the small scale, 1,000. On the large scale, 10,000 for a clan.
No.
I mean, and when we say 1,000, that would be babies, grandparents, where so a clan might of that size might be able to field 300 warriors. So figure that would be a fairly small clan. Would be like 300 warriors.
For me, that sounds like very big for the ancient times. That's like
I specifically researched in the 18th century.
Okay, that's Middle Ages.
No.
18th century is not that modern period.
No,
Yeah.
we're talking about 1745 specifically, and the clan structure that still
Jacobite
existed.
Wars?
Yes,
But
exactly.
That's not. That's I don't know. That's a
That's-
totally different thing.
Well,
I think.
it's a contiguous
It's more
existence.
of a social adaptation to the new environment.
No, I would no. It's because it's out on the fringes of Europe, out there in the islands and highlands of Scotland. These were the people that had been holding out forever from the Germanic invasion that had or the Norse and Germanic invasions, because they very much defined themselves not of the Viking and not of the Anglo-Saxon. They were the Celts. They were the Highlanders. They were the clans that had been resisting everybody for so long.
They were the Picts, right? Those
The Picts had been conquered by them. The Picts were the original people of Scotland. The Scotti were an Irish clan that comes across from Ireland to Scotland and eventually dominates and absorbs the Picts. So you're right in that the Picts are part of their ancestry, but it's a mix of Pictium and Scotium that come together to create Scotland.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the Romans fighting people in Scotland, that would be the Picts. By the time you're getting to the Viking era, that would be the Irish dominating the local Picts.
Are you guys still in this game, or can we just leave it?
Okay, I'm out. Is anybody else still in?
I mean, when it comes to like the word tribe is something fairly interesting language-wise. Now, of course, it's a different word as it's a different language, but here in Germany, up until I'd say well into the 20th century, the word tribe was fairly often used to mean the different German groups.
Yeah, like the
Even
Thuringians and the Saxons and
yes,
right.
the Bavarians, and so on. Even well German like German Empire and beyond. It's not nowadays. Not
I'm going north,
really,
but
not really so much, but very much well into the 20th century. Talking about the German tribes and so on that make up the German nation was a fairly common thing.
Right. Because I know my clan chief. I haven't talked to him in maybe 25 years, but I've stayed at his house, or well, actually his mother's house. She was still alive at the time. The mother of the clan chief. I used to stay at their house. So it is still, even though I have not been to Britain in like 20 years, and I've sort of lost contact with some of these people, they are extended family enough that again I knew them well enough that if you're in the area, just call, make sure it's okay, and you come and stay at my house, kind of thing. So it's an extended familial relationship that when we talk about clans, and so they definitely had a chief and a council. Generally, I mean, it varied from clan to clan just exactly how they organized themselves, but they it was a political organization, operating as well as a familial organization, in that your chief, if you displeased him enough, he would burn your roof and push in your walls.
They're behind me, what the fuck?
I'm coming up behind you, and I don't see anybody.
I was shot in the ass.
I
Oh,
avenged you,
oh, okay, okay.
but now
Wait,
I'm being shot at.
I'm
Shit.
coming.
There he is. Non-penetration. Come
So
on, let me penetrate you.
that sounds
That
very
sounds very.
yeah. But burn your roof, because roofs were made of sod, and pushing your stone walls, and basically kicking you out of the clan, and now you're homeless in a wild environment. So that was normally, unless very, yeah, there might be cases in which death penalty might be prescribed. If you're murdering somebody, or somebody else unjustly, because people would get in sword fights, or duels or whatever, but that was sort of mutually agreed upon combat. But if you just murdered somebody, that would be a death penalty or something. But the normal penalty was you're either towing the line with the group or you're out of here. Um, and so that was functioning up until 1745 as the, if you will, governing situation for the Highlands and the Celtic people, the last of the free Celtic peoples. Yep. There you are. That got your track. Oh, this is KV that got Pino. Now
I
you've
always
lost it.
thought I always found the idea or the concept of Wehrgeld interesting.
Very good. What?
It's a old German or Germanic term, more generally, that pretty much means man money.
Okay.
Wer meaning man. It's why werewolf means man wolf.
Okay.
Same word.
Right.
And it's pretty much if you killed someone, or like
Okay.
maimed
Yes.
someone and so on, then you would have to pay the family Wehrgeld. And where they would pretty much, where you would then have like, again, I'm not the best person about this, as I find it interesting, but I don't actually know all that much about it. I would
Right.
like to know more, but currently I haven't really
Right.
yet had the ambition to actually research it more deeply.
Well, what I know about it is that it's restitutive. How do I say? Restorative justice instead of punishment justice. Instead of trying to make it so that people don't kill each other because they're afraid of the consequences of their actions, going to prison or going to, being executed. They're trying to, what good does it benefit the family who was dependent upon the male for support or for providing for the family to either lock up, and they didn't really have prisons way back whenever, or kill them. It would be better to provide for the family as that keeps society functioning, instead of having a family that's going to starve because they don't have a provider, whether they're working a job or they're out hunting or farming or whatever.
Yes, that is from what I gathered. That was the main basic idea behind the concept. But it could also work in other ways. As for example, if you had in ways that were not viewed as justice, could also be used as a kind of bounty system, where you could have, for example, there was like you have the evil bandit from the forest, and if you killed him and like brought his head to like the local chief or lord or whatever, then he could also pay you guild for having defeated the bandit.
Okay,
you
I've
will.
not heard it used in that term. Because when you said Vergilt or whatever, that for me timed in the Dane guilt from the Anglo-Saxon paying off the Danes or the Vikings.
Yes, guilt is just
Right,
money.
right, and
So
that's I
Dane
mean,
guilt is
so
just
so I
money
sort of
for the Danes.
I had that I had that connection, but I did not know where was man or there or however you're pronouncing it, but yeah,
Fair.
uh, uh, but yes, and so but definitely the paying off of your victim's family for the loss is something that I've encountered in a
Yeah. Again,
settings.
it should be noted here that the whole thing, of course, meaning man money is pretty much the money that is pretty much estimated a certain person to be worth.
Right.
And so this would either be like
Not
both in the sense of restorative justice. You have killed someone, and now you must pretty much pay
right.
the people that this person left behind, what this person was worth, but also in the other sense, of course, that again, if you deal with a problem, then you'll be
Right.
rewarded with how big this problem was, if you will.
Right. Now that part I had not heard it used that way, but
It's also more, of course, rarer from what little I know, but I'm pretty sure I remember reading about that.
right. Oh, I'm not doubting
Happening.
you. I'm just saying that I had not heard it in that context. Normally, from the Anglo-Saxon, we get the term outlaw, which just means that you're outside the law. So when somebody was declared an outlaw, they no longer had the protection of the law, and which could be like bandits or
Yeah,
whatever.
we call that vogelfrei.
Yes,
Like,
which means free as a bird,
Right.
but it pretty much means you can shoot them down like a bird.
Exactly, and that's the point is that, and of course in the both real and mythical American West, you had the outlaw with wanted posters that you would you'd get rewards for killing that outlaw, but whether there was any rewards or not, if you've declared somebody an outlaw legally, they no longer had any sort of protection. The Elizabeth, apparently Biden has just lifted the ban on U.S. arms striking into Russia through Ukraine. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
yeah, he wants to fuck it all up before Trump gets in
Yeah.
real power. So that Trump has to deal with real problems.
Yeah, we
So
were
they can
talking
blame
before you
him.
got here, Fritz. We were talking about how, or will Europe go it alone, truly alone, or will they toe Trump's line once he lays down the rules?
Europe cannot go alone anywhere because we're not a sovereign country. Not
Well, that was
not
sort of
not a single European country is
right,
sovereign.
right, and that was sort of basically the consensus thought that we were having here. Because for all we know, literally for all we know, they may have already settled the war, because Trump and Putin has talked, and
Yeah,
the details may not be
via
set.
Musk, right? Via Musk.
No, they know that they've actually, Putin and Trump have actually talked since the election. Now it might have just been a sort of a congratulatory, congratulations on winning the election, blah 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 blah. It may have just been that. I'm not saying I know what it was, I'm just saying I know they've.
But at least they talked. Yeah.
But I know, yeah. I mean, or the reports. I mean, I didn't listen in on the conversation or whatever. But yeah, they've talked.
No.
No,
I have no spies in the not White House.
the Trump's. No,
in
I
Trump
don't.
Tower.
Yeah, no.
You
So
haven't fucked up the place?
No, but we do know that they've talked. Now, so it might have just been very surface, like, oh, well, we'll talk later once I'm actual president, and sort this out, or it might have been something like, hey, you're going to have to pull out of here and pull out of there, but you'll get to keep this. Just and we'll get this done once I'm in the presidency, and it may be something like that. Because from another source, which I do trust to know, a very well connected Jewish source, supposedly Trump has told the Israelis.
You cannot trust them.
Yeah, I know, but I know that's your view. But from the Jewish source, because Trump is very, very pro-Israel and very pro-Jewish.
Yes.
And so he has supposedly told the Israelis, "You've got to get your war done by the time I'm president. Do whatever you need to do. Just get it done before I'm sworn in." And so they have until January 20th to finish their war. And that I believe to be basically correct information. So I trust that.
Sounds realistic. Yes.
And it sounds like Trump, and that's what I mean. I mean it both from the sources that I'm getting it from and my understanding of the world. I think that is probably what words to that effect were said. Hello, Big Mac. How you doing? Going to retrieve a few of those Big Macs? So that's my understanding, and so yeah, I could see not you got to get your war done, but a different sort of message being sent to Putin, kind of thing. The DNC, let's see what Elizabeth says. The DNC may want to try and provoke retaliatory strikes from Russia to ruin peace talks, sabotage Trump's efforts. Yeah, good to hear, Big Mac. And yes, but see, this is why I think Trump may very well have talked to Putin and saying, "Look, we know what Biden administration is doing. Just hold on. Don't do anything to make the situation work. We'll work a deal come January." And if Putin is willing to work a deal, which I don't know if he is, but if he is, well, then I think Trump is going to have a deal. And it's just, my view has always been that the Ukrainians, no matter what they're saying now or will say, that they will have to follow the American deal unless Europe truly will go alone and fully support Ukraine alone without any.
It cannot. It's, I don't know.
Well, and we were also
Europe
talking
has no
about
army. Europe has no army.
Right, I know, but does do Europe's leaders realize this? Truly realize this?
Well, the European armies realize it, and leaders can change.
Okay, but it's the former president of Norway and current head of NATO says that if Trump does this, if Trump makes a peace with Putin or something, they'll kick America out of NATO. To me, that's delusional. Yeah, I know. But this is the current appointed head of NATO. Yes, I know. We know the reality. America is NATO, Fritz. I'm not, disputing that. But this guy is stupid enough to say these things publicly. How stupid are you? My opinion, he's stupid.
Maybe it's all a show.
Well, my other thought is maybe he's a really big Trump supporter, and he's just trying to help Trump get out of NATO. But
possible.
Yeah. It seems like something somebody too stupid to tie their own shoelaces might say, because they don't know, they don't understand the reality, and so he
big SU something.
Yeah, so the person in charge of NATO should have a better understanding of what's going on than to say something that stupid and silly, like Europe would even want, under any circumstances, the U.S. out of NATO. So I have to. Yeah, this is a good map, Big Mac. So I have to wonder: do these people realize that they are, do they realize reality?
I think in these days, people in this position, that there are no stupid people. They all do their job. They all fulfill their roles they have to play. Even if it's hard to believe, like even the German government, I don't think that these guys are stupid.
Well, before you got
They
here,
do
our
their job.
conclusion is that they're not stupid but deluded. They don't recognize reality. They may be smart, but they just don't recognize reality. They live in their
I
own
really
world.
think they follow their orders, because you cannot be that stupid. It's
Well,
It's they're deluded or they're evil, pretty much.
they're evil. They're following orders.
They're just following
You
orders.
you cannot
say.
you cannot be so deluded and get into a leading position somehow. I don't think so.
because right now, um, unless Putin is going to shoot nuclear missiles or something, Russia's no danger to Germany. But 20 or 30 years from now, Russia could be a very big danger to Germany because they could rebuild their army and make it professional and grow it big. And so if Germany doesn't do the same for theirs, build a good modern professional army.
Impossible.
Well,
not impossible,
if Germany
but
even if
insanely
Germany had the
difficult.
money, it's impossible with these Germans.
well, this is what.
Let's say it this way.
Yeah,
The
well, this
Germans
is
of
what.
today are totally.
But
It's
but
just
yeah,
mind fucked.
yeah, I know. But what I'm sort of
we would
what
never
you're
fight
sort
for
of,
anything.
in my opinion, you're conflicting with what you were just saying, is that they're just following the orders, that they know better. But
No, the politicians.
yeah,
He was talking about the common people,
yeah,
the
well,
unwashed masses, if you will.
yeah.
Yeah, the masses would not go to war for anything in Germany. And the people that would go to war for Germany, they don't want in the army. So.
Yeah, I had a classmate who wanted to join the army, and after school, and he had even a introductory interview where he said he wanted to join the army because he was loved the country and wanted to give a bit like back and so on, and the officers straight up told him, we would love to have I would love to have you, but I would not recommend going in the army with that there are others who would
Right.
see you
Is that it?
destroyed.
Yeah.
And there's witch hunts going on in the German army. It's
Yeah, the German
crazy.
army is currently being denazified.
Yeah, but who's a Nazi?
Everyone, of course.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
I
be
mean, I
surprised.
can tell you my
if-
story. I was my latest job in the army was I was in the reserve
Right.
as a OR8.
Right.
Stabsfeldwebel. It's like the second highest NCO rank in the German army, and you cannot even have friends with different opinions than the state.
Right.
Which is why I was kicked out, because I had contacts with people I grew up with, regular contacts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they kicked me out, because I do not distance myself enough from these people,
Right.
That's why I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a real Democrat because I'm not distancing myself from these people.
Right.
Well, yes,
And that's why they kicked me
yes.
out of the
Obviously, as we
reserve.
know, democracy is when
Oh, so
everyone has the
you've
same
been kicked
opinion.
out of the army now? I thought you were back in.
Yeah, I was back in for
Right.
several months, and then they
Oh,
kicked me out because of this.
I didn't know you got kicked out. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Hmm.
I'm okay with this. I was
Okay.
very pissed
Right. I can imagine.
because I never did anything politically in my duty
Mm-hmm.
in the army, you know? Like
Right.
I was
Yeah.
not I was even the guy that said, "Hey guys, not so loud."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I understand.
Because I'm not stupid. But it wasn't enough.
Yeah. Well.
It is sad how
It's really
how
sad
far
because
the
I'm really
once
one of this guy that
great
lived
German
the
army
army,
has
you know?
fallen.
Oh yes, I know, Fritz. No, it's yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Um.
I don't think it'll ever recover.
No, we cannot recover like this. We have to fall hard.
And this was an earlier question. What event do you think will come that will cause a reset, if you will, or a fall, or a
Well, I don't know. I'm not growing grass out of my pockets.
yeah, I
but
understand.
but I there are several kinds. A big war could do that. A simply breakdown of global trade can do that.
Yeah. Oh,
Some stupid
I think we're coming nearer to a breakdown in global trade. I think
Yeah, it can do that. As soon as people don't have it the easy way, as soon as you cannot go to the Sozialamt and get some free money for doing nothing,
right. Yeah, I think I
that shifts. And
yeah, no,
as soon as you have to do something to eat, and as soon as you cannot just go and buy everything everywhere. I mean, people in Germany, they 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 are flipping out and freaking out just because of a few hours of no energy. You know, it's like
right.
it's crazy. It's really crazy. They don't even know what to do. They don't even have some candles or battery torches,
Right.
flashlights. I
Yes.
mean,
Flashlights, yes.
it's just it's stupidity incarnate these days. It's I don't know. We're so fucked up.
Yeah, because right now, because of what I'm, seeing, particularly in the Red Sea, with the Houthis shooting missiles at and other drones and stuff at ships, we're seeing Iran doing similar things. We're seeing, of course, Russia in the Black Sea.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think America is much too confident down there with Iran. I don't know. They have hypersonic missiles. I think Iran could sink an aircraft carrier. I think they
okay,
can.
I don't think that's the case because what I think happened, I think the reason the Houthis started to shoot missiles it was at Iran's direction, so that they were because they watched the Moskva get sunk in the Black Sea. Iran wanted to know if their missiles could sink like a carrier, so they had their puppets, the Houthis, start to shoot missiles to see how good if they could hit any American ships or warships, not just a merchant vessel, but a warship. And they've all completely failed at hitting any of the American warships, not even really getting close. So I
Yeah,
think they
but they did
tested their
not. They did not use hypersonic missiles.
no, they didn't, but I don't know if that's going to really be the case.
And how long? You know, I mean, it's already very hard to replenish all the rockets the United States are using everywhere,
Yeah,
and
right
we
now,
can overwhelm that pretty easy, I think.
I understand, but right now, I think America is I think again. Notice I'm not saying I'm sure. I think America is supreme at sea because we've developed some new missiles, including one missile that is supposedly undetectable until it's hit its target. going after other ships.
Yeah, but can you produce it en masse very fast? And
Well, I think we have enough to sink the world's ships,
okay,
and so now and we've also within the last 6 months announced, and this actually caught a few people that should have known or could have known by surprise, that we've actually deployed a new anti-aircraft missile that has greater extended ranges that was than before known that's coming out. Our Navy has. So I think it's so long as we can put a carrier group somewhere, we are supreme. But we don't have enough carrier groups to put one everywhere. So meaning if we flood the Middle East, we won't have enough to deal with China, or vice versa, or try to contain Russia, or we don't have enough ships to be everywhere. But where we
yeah,
choose,
that's the thing. That's the thing I think, and we all over here. I mean, me and my people think about the U.S. They're pretty strong when they can focus on something. Like,
right?
but to focus on anything really, like for a real war, the U.S. has to abandon the world,
Yes,
and
and
that's a thing they will not do, and they cannot fight China. No one can fight
well,
China.
okay, well, see,
It's
and see, this is the thing. I think if the U.S. planning is to put troops into the heart of China, it is an extremely bad mistake. But if we fight a sea war, meaning shut down, access to the sea from China sinking all of their Navy ships and all the ships, you see, that's the kind of war that I think the U.S. should be prepared to do, but should not like try to put divisions into China and defeat China. You're absolutely right. That is not what should be planned for or anything like that.
yeah,
Um,
but China outproduces the U.S.
so,
with everything.
but they're just more targets for us to sink.
Well, yeah,
No, I
as
really,
long as
I
you have
really,
rockets.
I really think their naval vessels are just sitting ducks. I really don't even
Yeah,
think.
compared to each other, yes, but I'm not. If you want to fight China, you don't have. It's not only the navy you have to fight.
Well,
Maybe if you kill the navy very fast, there's still the mainland, and rockets these days fly around the globe.
well, okay, and see now this is my contention is we are in a post nuclear peace. I think unless a nation truly believes that it is going to be destroyed, whatever that may mean, they're not going to shoot nuclear weapons. So unless China thinks the U.S. is going to conquer it, it's not going to use nuclear weapons. It'll suffer its fleets to be destroyed. It'll suffer some minor pinpricks to its, outer regions, and it won't risk shooting missiles at the U.S. because the missiles will be coming back at them. So I think we are in a place, and sort of like the 18th century, in which you sort of had these conventions of war in Europe where they would, line up in lines and they fight these big battles and who won, and then they'd go to the peace tables and figure it out instead of, raping and pillaging everywhere, wherever they went, like in the 30 Years' War or something earlier. So I think,
We're forgetting to play, by the way.
well, actually, I'm going to be ending here very soon. Sorry.
All right, then I'm going to
No
already
problem.
leave the game.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the nuclear calculation has changed for governments. I don't think Russia's going to shoot a nuclear missile anywhere unless it really thinks Russia's existence, a new, horde of whoever coming across their borders is going to extinguish Russia. I don't think they'll shoot the missiles. I think they're willing to fight a Ukraine war, win it or lose it without using nuclear
Yeah, I
weapons.
would not be surprised if Zelensky shoots a nuclear rocket into Moscow.
Where is he going to get one?
Well,
I mean, maybe Britain or France particularly might want to give him one. I'm not, and
well, a dirty bomb is enough. They can build that themselves.
yes, okay, a dirty bomb. Yes, a dirty bomb is definitely coming into the nuclear frame, not quite the same as an actual thing, but you're right. A dirty bomb is something he very well might be able to go around Chernobyl and dig up enough crap or wherever. And
I just read something or I heard something. I mean, he told the U.S.
yeah,
Zelensky told the U.S. that he has enough material to build a Nagasaki-style bomb.
yeah, and if he were to try that, he wouldn't survive it personally.
Yeah, but he wouldn't survive anything. I mean, he's.
Well-
I bet he's going to live somewhere with a new face after all this.
Well, yeah. I if he we were talking about rhetoric and what people say, but if the government's around Zelensky, because they I'm sure his military operations are thoroughly penetrated by Western intelligence agencies. If they thought he was even getting near to a practical do that, they would eliminate him in that project. I think they'd take that out. Okay, Fritz, Dino, thanks so much for playing with me today. And Elizabeth, Big Mac, and everyone else, have a very good day. I will see you hopefully next weekend.
Yep. See
All
you
right.
guys. Have
See
fun.
you guys.